I want to say this. Alan Roger Currie provides an invaluable service to a lot of men out there, who need that help. Personally, this isn't an insult to him. I think the man shouldn't even be in business. You know what I'm saying? Because what's being taught, in the world of the post-sexual revolution, what he teaches needs to be basic shit taught in school.
Mode 1.
It doesn't have to be, explicit sexual shit, you know what I'm saying? But, when you get to junior high or whatever, basic shit like asking a girl, for a date to the Valentine's Day dance, you know what I'm saying? You can teach that shit at that level, you know what I'm saying? And then move up as you get through high school, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, like I said, he provides a valuable service, but a service that should be so basic, he should not be making money off of it. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't knocking his hustle, you know what I'm saying? Because, it's a needed service, but what I'm saying is, this shit needs to be taught as part of public education curriculum. It needs to be. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah.
That excerpt is from the YouTube channel of a black male I don't know his real name. His pseudonym or moniker is Rusty Balls. Rusty Balls. Now it's interesting. I've never, at least to my recollection, I've never had beef with Rusty Balls. He's commented in my comment sections before. And he's always been cordial, friendly, and respectful towards me. But I'm going to have to point out some shit he said in that excerpt that's bullshit. Number one, I wrote a Facebook post about 3 years ago that had all my Facebook friends cracking up. Because I said, usually when people offer a preface that I'm not doing this or I'm not trying to do this, they usually do just the thing that they say. Now, for example, some people say, well, I'm not racist, but all you black people are ignorant. People make statements like that. They'll say, well, I'm not cheap. I'm not a cheap person, but I'm not going to pay $2 for a gallon of milk. I'm not going to do that. You cheat. Most people will start out prefaces saying, I'm not trying to insult this person, but then what do? They go on to insult this person. Rusty Balls was just guilty of that. He said, I'm not trying to knock Alan Roger Currie's hustle, but the very thing he did was knock my hustle. He literally did that. He said, I'm not trying to knock this man's hustle, but then he turned around and offered commentary essentially trying to undermine my career as a book author and a dating coach. He basically, in so many words, said, I don't believe Alan Roger Currie should be earning a living as a book author and a men's dating coach. That's what he essentially said in so many words. He said, I don't believe Alan Roger Currie should be making money doing what he does. And this relates to something, I get this question a lot, but if you remember, I did a video, I think it was earlier this year, that was titled something to the effect of, why is Alan Roger Currie such a magnet for haters, critics, and back and forth beefs? Why is Alan Roger Currie such a magnet for haters, critics, and back and forth beefs? There's at least a handful of reasons why I tend to attract a lot of haters, a lot of harsh critics, and why I tend to be drawn into a lot of back and forth beefs. At minimum, I would probably be able to name at least 5 different reasons. But one of those reasons is, plain and simply, there are a lot of people, particularly men, a lot of men, and I would say even more specifically, a lot of black men, although not exclusively black men. There's a lot of men in general, a lot of black men. There's a lot of guys who are jealous and envious of the fact that I'm able to earn a living doing what I do. Some have outright said it. I've read some comments where guys outright said it, essentially that they were jealous and envious of my career. And others, I can tell by their criticisms and insults towards me that they're essentially jealous and envious of my career. I tell you somebody by name who started off being that way, but he ended up ironically making a career for himself, was Alpha Male Strategies. Back in December of 2017 and January and February of 2018, there was one time where me and Alpha Male Strategies was going at it on somebody's comment section. It wasn't his comment section. I don't think it was my own comment section. It was somebody else's comment section, but we were kind of having like this back and forth. And Alpha Male Strategies, at that time, this was before he had the Patreon subscribers that he does now, before his book came out. Basically, this was before he started making money as a dating coach. Or now I hear he's more so markets himself as just a life coach. But one of his criticisms to me was, he said, Alan, I don't feel like you should be getting paid for your knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice. I don't feel like guys should be paying you for that. I feel like all the knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice you have, you should be sharing that for free. You shouldn't be getting paid for it. You should be giving that out for free. And that's what he started off doing. Alpha Male Strategies, if you know his full backstory, for about at least the first 2, 3, 4 months after he first announced himself as a dating coach around early to mid-December of 2017. You know, he used to be in my comment section a lot. Yeah, if you were to go back and listen to my old videos, roughly between September of 2017 and early to mid-December of 2017, Alpha Male Strategies actually used to comment in my comment section quite often. That's when I first became familiar with him. He used to be in my comment section. No, he would simultaneously compliment a lot of my content, but criticize it. A lot of his commentary would usually be, he would say, Alan, that was a good video, good advice, but I felt like your video was a little too long. The two main criticisms he usually used to have of me when he used to comment in my comment section, he would say that a lot of my videos were too long. And if you notice, he rarely does a video that's more than 15 minutes long. That was his number one criticism. He used to say, Alan, you got some good content, but you tend to ramble a lot. You ramble a lot and you digress away from your main topic a lot. You don't stick to your main topic. He's basically like, your videos, you should just get to the point, say what you got to say, and end it. He's basically like, your video should be no more than roughly 15 to 20 minutes long. He's like, you got videos like 45 minutes, 55 minutes, hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half. He's like, man, that's too long, man. And sure enough, when he started doing videos, he kept all his videos short. That was his number one criticism on me. His second criticism on me is related to my recent back and forth beef with Obsidian. He said, man, Alan, you allow yourself to be distracted by too many beefs, man. Back and forth beefs with other YouTube personalities or other dating coaches. He was like, why do you do that, man? He was like, you need to stick to giving just advice and keep your videos short. Well, the interesting thing is, that's actually what I do in my Patreon exclusive content. And most of my Patreon subscribers will back me up on that. If you were to watch my Patreon exclusive videos, I rarely, if ever, ramble. My Patreon exclusive videos are rarely more than roughly 20, 25 minutes long. Some of them are as short as 5 minutes. And the longest is about maybe 20 to 25 minutes. I don't talk about beefs with people in my Patreon exclusive content. I don't ramble or digress away from the main topic. So everything that Alpha Male Strategies was suggesting that I should do, that's actually what I do in my Patreon exclusive content. But when it comes to my free YouTube content, that's what my free YouTube content is for. It's for me to ramble and digress and talk about stuff like drama and beefs and all that shit. But anyway, going back to my main point, Alpha Male Strategies, he initially used to criticize me for charging my clients money. He used to basically say, I feel like you should do that shit for free. as just kind of a general service for heterosexual men. And guess who was the one that told him that he should be charging money? He'll never publicly acknowledge this, or he might surprise me and do it. But it was me. Go back to a video I did last year where I said Alpha Male Strategies should be giving me no less than 50% of the credit for his success on Patreon. I was the first one who told Alpha Male Strategies. I said, how can you call yourself a professional dating coach and you ain't charging money? I said, you're not a businessman. If you ain't charging no money, you're not a businessman. You're just a motherfucker on YouTube talking shit. And at first he challenged that. He's basically like, forget that, man. You should be giving out. And then like less than 2 months later, he got his Patreon page real active. He started doing email consultations, Skype and telephone consultations. He came out with a book. Somebody must have, no one took my advice, because again, I would argue that I was the first person to tell him that, and I'm sure some people that he's even closer to told him the same thing, and look at him now. He got over 3,000 Patreon subscribers. But yet, this guy, in January of 2018, Alpha Male Strategies was actually criticizing me for charging clients money for my knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice. He was actually criticizing me. But yeah, man, that's why a lot of people be hating on me, man. A lot of people are jealous, man. Once people found out in 2015, 2016 that I was making high 5 figures, and then starting with 2017, guys found out that I was making 6 figures and more. They was like, well, shit. How's Alan Roger Currie making over 100 grand a year just sharing advice about how to connect with women? Shit, I could be doing that. That's what a lot of motherfuckers say, the attitude, they basically say, shit, I could and should be doing that then. If this motherfucker making over $100,000 a year being a book author and a dating coach, shit. It cracks me up when people say what Alan Roger Currie does, anybody can do. There's a lot of people, I don't want to rehash this, but there's a lot of careers that people have done that with. Like I know when I was pursuing an acting career, people used to say that. People used to say, oh, anybody can be an actor. Anybody can be a writer. Anybody can be a rapper. Anybody can be a personal nutritionist. Anybody can be a health and fitness trainer. Okay, my question is this. Well, probably more of a statement than a question. But, well, no, both. If anybody can do a lot of these careers that people keep saying anybody can do, number one, why aren't you in the upper echelon of people doing it? Because, like, let's take acting. Technically, anybody can become an actor. Anybody can become an actor. You don't have to have a degree in acting to become an actor. You don't have to have a high degree of experience on doing Broadway plays to become an actor. Anybody can become an actor or actress, but the question is, are you going to be good at it, though? That's the question. Are you going to be good at it, though? Anybody can become an actor, but not anybody can become Al Pacino. Not anybody can become Denzel Washington. Not anybody can become Leonardo DiCaprio. Not anybody can become George Clooney. Not anybody can become Eddie Murphy or Tom Cruise. Those people make millions of dollars because they have true talent. It's just like anybody can go outside and play basketball. Anybody can go outside and play basketball. Anybody, like when I was in high school, to this day, I'm sure they have high school basketball camps for people who want to make their varsity basketball team in high school. I wanted to go to a basketball camp in Indiana. If you got the money to pay, anybody can go to a basketball camp, but does that mean you're going to be the next Steph Curry? Does that mean you're going to be the next LeBron James? Is that going to be the next, you're going to be the next Greek freak, Giannis, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Milwaukee Bucks star. You know, like I knew a couple guys in Los Angeles that were making over 100 grand a year as a health and fitness trainer. But yet, matter of fact, I've talked about this before. Do you know in the same way people hate on dating coaches now, if there was one career they used to get similar type of haterade, was these two careers, was personal nutritionist and health and fitness. Because I used to work at a health and fitness club when I lived in Los Angeles for about 6 months. I worked at LA Fitness. And a lot of my friends were health and fitness trainers. They used to tell me, man, they used to get hated on big time. Guys would say, oh man, what is this health and fitness train, man? Number one, they would make that comment like, they would say one or two things. They would either say, anybody could be a health and fitness trainer. Anybody could do that. And or they would say, people actually pay you money for that shit? Just to tell them what exercises to do and keep them motivated to do exercises? You actually make money off of that? Yeah, I knew a couple guys that were making, at that time, this was like in the mid to late 90s. I knew guys who were making over $100,000 a year as a health and fitness trainer. Yeah, one guy, he used to have a lot of celebrity clients. Yeah, he was making about 125, 150 grand a year as a health and fitness trainer. But yeah, that's a career that a lot of people either would say anybody can do that, or they would say, why do people pay them money for that when they could be exercising just on their own? Well, the question you got to ask, I've talked about this before. Why did Michael Jordan need Phil Jackson as a coach? Didn't he have great dribbling skills, great shooting skills, great rebounding skills, great defensive skills? Why did he need a coach on the sidelines? Why does Tom Brady need Bill Belichick? Why? Why does he need a quarterback's coach? Why does Tiger Woods, one of the top golfers in the world, need a personal golfing coach? Why? Now, speaking of acting, there's a lot of actors who specifically have acting coaches. Why do they need that? You can go down the list, man. If people can cook their own food, why do some wealthy people have personal chefs? Can't they cook their own fucking food? People crack me up, man. So yeah, technically, anybody can become a dating coach. It ain't no real specific requirements. But the question is, are you going to be a good one? And even, my more specific question, what are you going to bring that's going to be new, unique, and original, as opposed to just biting off of my shit or somebody else's shit? What are you going to bring that's new, unique, and original? When I came on the scene, I brought original shit. I wasn't just repeating and regurgitating shit that I heard somebody else say. My shit was original. For example, you take my 4 modes of behavior. Nobody had talked about 4 modes of verbal communication before me. Who? If they did, who? Name them, right? Name somebody before the mid to late 90s that was talking about 4 modes of verbal communication. That put all forms of verbal communication into 4 modes or 4 categories before me. Name somebody who did that. Name somebody. Were there people who were using direct game before me? Yeah. But they weren't explaining it and teaching it in a manner like me. That's the thing. They weren't explaining. Again, I have to reference the 3 Pimps story. That's where those 3 Pimps gave me my props. They was basically like, a lot of the stuff that Alan Reg Currie talks about in Mode 1, we already knew, but they was like, damn, College Boy, though, he knows how to break the shit down. He knows he's a great teacher. Matter of fact, a Black Male Personality gave me that compliment a couple years ago. BGS Immore. I remember listening to a podcast, this was about 2 years ago or so. BGS Immore, he was talking about me, somebody had brought up my name or something, and he basically said, I'm paraphrasing the word, he said, actually, Alan Reg Currie is not the first person I've met in my life to verbally communicate his sexual desires, interests, and intentions in a very bold, upfront, specific, and straightforwardly honest manner. He said, I actually went to high school with a guy who you could say was Mode 1, just like Alan. So he's not the first guy, but he said, the thing I got to give Alan credit for, I've never seen one teach direct verbal game the way he does. He said, to date, he's probably the best teacher of verbal direct game of anybody I've come across. He knows how to break stuff down in a very specific detailed, and analytical manner. That's why I get paid. It's because of the way I break shit down, man. And it's less than 1% of dating coaches out there that know how to break shit down like me. That's why I make the money that I do. I know how to break shit down, man. So Rusty Balls, that's why I get paid the money that I do. It's because I don't just give people general, like you use the word basic. You try to suggest that all my advice is basic. No, it's not. Some of my advice I would categorize as probably basic and general. But anybody who's taking a one-on-one face-to-face coaching session with me will tell you, my shit ain't basic. There's some portions of my advice that are basic. But like when I get into stuff like verbal seduction, reading women's body language, that shit is far from basic. It's far from basic. That shit is a specialized talent. Erotic dirty talk is a specialized talent, man. That's a specialized talent. I dare anybody to call that shit basic. Shit, when it comes to the way I teach verbal seduction, reading women's body language, engaging in erotic dirty talk with women, that shit is the antithesis of basic. I'm a bad motherfucker, Rusty Balls, if I have to throw modesty to the side. When it comes to teaching verbal seduction, reading women's body language, teaching men how to talk dirty to women, I am the baddest motherfucker on earth. Mark my words. Quote me on that. I am the baddest motherfucker on earth when it comes to teaching verbal seduction and kinky, erotic, dirty talk and read women's body language. Yes, I said that. Quote me on that. I am the baddest motherfucker walking this earth. Period. And I have testimonials with other guys saying that. So that's not just my own opinion. I have a lot of my clients have told me. They said, Alan, when it comes to nothing else, when it comes to teaching verbal seduction, kinky, erotic, dirty talk, and reading women's body language, I've never come across a dating coach as bad as you. You are like the baddest, hands down. Hands down. I will take any challenges on that. I will take any challenges on that. Anybody on YouTube think they better than me? Prove it. Prove it, number one, with your resume. Prove it with your resume. Where's your book at? Where's your book at? That's the first question I'm going to ask you. Where's your book at on verbal seduction? Where's your book at? Where's your national television appearances? Page at. Prove that you better than me with your resume, not your shit talking, your resume of achievements and accomplishments. Prove that you better than me. Rusty Balls, I am a bad motherfucker. Don't ever undermine what I do and try to say what I do is basic. Nigga, I'm one of the baddest motherfuckers on earth in what I do. Believe that shit. I earn my money. I earn my money. Now, to address one of your comments about teaching, you said a lot of what I teach should be taught in middle schools and high schools. Believe it or not, I would actually partially agree with you. I wouldn't be able to teach everything I teach. Like I was talking about verbal seduction, erotic, dirty talk. They would never allow that to be taught in no middle school or high school. Are you serious? To teach that, you would have to use profanity and sexually explicit language. You would have to. You can't, you wouldn't be able to teach like this. If I had to go by my books, my 4 books, if there's at least one book where I wouldn't be able to teach in a middle school or high school, would be the stuff that's in my book, Ooh, Say It Again, which is the basis for most of my one-on-one face-to-face coaching sessions. You couldn't teach that in a middle school or high school. Again, mainly because it would inevitably involve using profanity and sexually explicit language. They would never allow that to be taught. A lot of stuff that's in my book, The Possibility of Sex, that could be potentially taught in a high school, although it would almost be challenging to keep it totally PG-13. A lot of stuff I teach in Mode 1 could arguably, some of it, not all of it, but some of it could be taught on maybe a middle school or high school level. Beta male revolution, it would be. See, that's one of the reasons why I've always been challenged, man. Like, you probably don't know this, Rusty Balls, but I actually was a teacher at least once. In spring of 2009, if you read my Wikipedia page, I actually taught a college level course called Dating for 21st Century Singles. Dating for 21st Century Singles. And to be quite frank, I don't know this for a fact, but I believe one of the reasons why I wasn't rehired to teach that class was because I used a lot of profanity and sexually explicit language in my class. I used a lot of now in colleges, some colleges are very lenient. Like, I've been in college classes where my professor would use some degree of profanity in the class and say stuff like shit or bullshit and that type of thing. So some colleges are lenient. Like, I know colleges like Harvard, they're pretty lenient with stuff like profanity. But other colleges, man, they're pretty conservative. Like, I told y'all about a story, this woman named Katie Costner was going to hire me to go on tour with her to be to do speakings at high schools and colleges about preventing date rape and for men preventing false date rape charges. But one of the reasons why she wasn't able to take me on tour with her is because when those schools and colleges did their research on me, they saw that I used a lot of profanity and sexually explicit language. So they were basically like, they were like, we can't use Alan. Well, they were basically like, we like his content, we like his philosophies, but in so many words, they were basically like, he got a potty mouth. He got a potty mouth. But a lot of stuff I teach, again, it would be very challenging for me to teach a semester-long class without using any profanity at all or any sexually explicit language at all. I ain't gonna say it would be just flat out impossible, but it would be extremely challenging. Like, if I'm doing like a one-day workshop, I've done some one-day workshops where I didn't use any profanity at all or any sexually explicit. Like one I've pointed out a few times before, in 2007, I once did a workshop about Mode 1 in front of all things, a church group. It was in front of a church group that was promoting premarital abstinence and celibacy. And one of the women who worked for the organization that was sponsoring the event, me and her were good friends, and she invited me to be a featured speaker. At first I was like, her name is Kenya. I said, Kenya, you know my mouth. She said, oh, Alan, I'm confident that you can find a way to be PG-13 without using any profanity or X-rated or triple X-rated language. And I did. And you'll find this interesting, Rusty. After my presentation, a group of older black women, I'd say ranging anywhere from early 60s to mid 70s, came up to me after my presentation. And that's what they said. They said, Alan, they said, number one, they said, we thoroughly enjoyed your presentation on your 4 modes of verbal communication. And they actually said what you said in your excerpt. They said, we feel like you should be teaching this on a high school level and a college level. There should be some kind of regular curriculum called Mode 1 for boys and girls, or Mode 1 for teenagers and young adults. Mode 1 for teenagers and young adults. They was like, we loved your presentation. Yeah, but that presentation, I didn't use any profanity. Again, I can do that for like a one-day workshop. I know how to tailor make my presentation so that I don't use any profanity. But if you're talking about over a period of weeks or months, that would be challenging. That would be challenging, man. But man, again, I already covered this in a couple of videos early this year where I was talking about people who hate on dating coaches. There's a lot of careers that if I was to be nitpicky, I could go down the list and say, why do people pay money for that? Why do people pay money for that? I can't think any off the top of my head, but I've ran across quite a few careers over my adult life where me, myself, said, I don't understand why somebody would pay money for that. I don't understand why somebody would pay somebody money to do that. Particularly stuff that I felt like that person could do themselves. Like most people, if they really wanted to, most people could fix their own cars if they took the time to study it. But what do most people do? They pay auto mechanics to fix their cars. But fixing a car is not extremely challenging if you take the time to learn it. If you take the time to learn it, if you got like a father, an uncle, or big brother that teaches you the basics of fixing your car, you don't have to pay no money for an auto mechanic. If people were very disciplined eaters, they wouldn't need a personal nutritionist. But most people are not. And that's why a lot of people pay for personal chefs and personal nutritionists. Because most people, because if everybody had both the combination of the discipline and the motivation to only eat healthy food, good food that was good for their bodies and good for their health, all personal nutrition and personal chef would be out of business. But the reality is most people don't have that. They don't. They don't have the combination of the self-discipline and they don't have the personal motivation, the self-motivation. Same with exercising. If everybody had the personal self-discipline and the personal self-motivation to exercise on a regular basis in a proper manner, health and fitness trainers will be out of business. But what's the reality of life? The reality of life is most people are lazy and or unmotivated and undisciplined. Just flat out lazy and unmotivated and undisciplined. And that's why a lot of people hire health and fitness trainers. Not because a lot of people hire health and fitness trainers, not because they don't know how, just flat out don't know how to exercise. It's because they want someone else to provide them with the discipline and the motivation to execute their exercise program so that they can accomplish whatever their desired goals and objectives are. They want an outsider to provide them with the discipline and motivation. That's why you have professional coaches, man. Going back to professional sports, that's why professional football teams have a coach. Professional basketball teams have a coach. Because if you're a basketball player and you're in the heat of a game, your emotions are going to take over to the point where you're going to lose your objectivity. You're going to lose your objectivity. So your coach is on the sidelines, number one, to keep your emotions in check. Number two, to provide you with unique strategies for certain situations. Unique strategies for certain situations. That's what I do with a lot of my male clients. When they come to me about certain issues they have dealing with women, I provide them with unique strategies that I know will work. I ain't gonna do that shit for free. I ain't gonna do that shit for free. I know my shit. Just speaking of coaches, just like Bill Belichick, he knows his shit when it comes to NFL coaching. He knows his shit. And he got the championships to show for it. He knows his shit. Why you gonna hate on the bro? Why are you gonna say, hey, why NFL players got a coach? He knows his shit. Now, later on in the video, this same video by Rusty Balls, he was talking about, my recent beef with Obsidian. And he basically took Obsidian's side, which I found interesting because him and Obsidian have had their own beefs. But he basically took Obsidian's side. He said, and I'm going to be paraphrased, but two things. Number one, he said, Alan Roger Currie and a lot of other black male, they're being disingenuous because they try to act like they haven't experienced black female fuckery themselves. He basically said, again, I'm paraphrasing, these weren't his exact words, but he said, all black men have experienced some degree of black female fuckery. All black men have. So for Alan Roger Currie and some of these other black male YouTube personalities to act like black female fuckery is not an issue, He said they're being disingenuous because all of them have experienced some degree of black female fuckery. I never said that I've never experienced black female fuckery. I never said that. I never said that I've never interacted with a black woman that was loud talking, that was smart alecky, disrespectfully sassy, and just exhibited undesirable behavior in general. I never said that I've never experienced a black woman who exhibited undesirable behavior. What I said is that my more positive social interactions with black women far outweigh my negative social interactions with women. That's what I've essentially always maintained. I've had more good and positive social interactions with black women than I've had negative. The negative experiences I've had with black women are in the minority. I would never say that I haven't experienced any negative experience with black women, but they're in the minority. Particularly if you're talking about women that I've dealt with, like as a girlfriend, as a casual sex lover, fuck buddy, or some other variation of a sexual companion or romantic companion. Most of my experiences with black women have been very positive. If we're talking about on a personal level, romantic level, sexual level, I've had way more positive experiences with black women than I've had negative. Way more. Like, I'm talking about like no contest. Because the biggest reason is because once I identified that a black woman, or any woman for that matter, not just a black woman, but any woman, a white woman, Asian woman, Hispanic woman, because I've had sex with women of all races. I've had sex with white women. I've had sex with Asian women. I've had sex with Hispanic women. I've had sex with a couple of Middle Eastern women. Anytime I'm dealing with a woman on a personal level or romantic or strictly sexual manner, once they identify themselves as a hard to get along with bitch, I dismiss them. I don't do a bunch of whining, bitching, and complaining about them. I dismiss them. I'm like, you got to go. And it's in the story. Once a woman that reveals herself to be a hard to get along with bitch, my simple thing is, you're gone. You're out of my life. You're dismissed. But if you're going to take it beyond the realm of dating and relationships and just talk about, like, I know this rest of you were talking about just dealing with black women in all capacities, like at the workplace, when you go to the grocery store and you might have a cashier that got an attitude, or you at a restaurant and your black female waitress has a funky attitude. I mean, I would never talk about that shit on my YouTube channel because that has nothing to do with dating relationships. I'm a dating coach. So I'm not going to be talking about black female fuckery in the workplace and in consumer service areas and that type of shit. That ain't got nothing to do with my books. So for you to say I'm disingenuous in trying to suggest that I haven't, again, I never said that I never had any negative experiences with black women. I've always said my positive experiences with black women far outweigh my negative experiences with black women. Far outweigh. Again, and particularly if we're talking about as it relates to dating and relationships, I ain't really had too many. I can almost count on one hand the number of really profoundly bad experiences I've had with black women. Most black women I've dealt with on a personal level, I ain't talking about on a business level or going to a restaurant or something like that. I'm talking about as it relates to like romantically, sexually, or even as a platonic friend. Most black women I've dealt with in my life have treated me like a motherfucking king. I'm just going to keep it real. Black women have done a lot of shit for me. I've had black women give me money. I've had black women pay my bills. I've had black women buy me clothes. I've had black women let me use their cars. I've had black women let me live with them for free. I've had black women let me fuck their daughters. Yes, I've had sex with black mother and daughter before. I've had sex with 2 black female roommates or 2 black female best friends. Man, I ain't had these negative experiences that a lot of you guys in the manosphere have had on a personal, romantic, and sexual level with black women. Now, again, I ain't talking about at the grocery store, at the restaurant, and all that type of shit. Surely I have. But I'm talking about on a romantic, sexual, and even a platonic friend level, I ain't really had too many negative experiences. Because the simple fact, I don't allow that shit. I don't allow it. I got the backbone to prevent that shit. A woman get out of pocket with me, I'm going to put her ass in check like that. I'm going to be like, bitch, get the fuck out of my face. Most of y'all don't have the balls to talk to a woman like that. Matter of fact, reference, if you got say it again, reference verbal seduction story number 1. That was probably arguably the first time I developed the balls and backbone to put a woman in check, specifically a black woman. All you got to do is read the details of my verbal seduction story number 1 and say it again. Because before verbal seduction story number 1, I ain't gonna lie, that's when I was the kind of lenient, weak backbone, nice guy type of guy. Almost what I would probably say a semi-beta male type guy. The number one, if there was a singular instance that changed my behavior towards not only black women, but women forever, if I had to point to just one social interaction by itself, it was the story I detailed in said again, verbal seduction story number 1, when I looked at black woman dead in her face when she was disrespecting me and I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. I told this story at the 21 convention in 2017. That was like my major turning point. That was the theme of my presentation, was you got to have turning points. My main turning point in my life for dealing with women, and I would say probably even more specifically black women, was verbal seduction story number 1. I had a sister that I was on a triple date with, and for the first hour and 15 minutes of that triple date, this chick was disrespecting the fuck out of me. But the thing was, I was allowing her to. See, it would be easy for me to say, hey, she was this disrespectful bitch. But the reality was, I was allowing her to be a disrespectful bitch. Until we both went outside, and that's when I put her in check. I said, she started disrespecting me again. I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. I said, shut the fuck up. I said it just like that. I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. And you know what happened? If anybody who read the story or listened to the story on the audiobook knows what happened after that. This woman, literally, her whole personality changed towards me. Once I put her in check and said, bitch, shut the fuck up, she became ultra feminine towards me. She became ultra submissive towards me. For the rest of the evening, she basically became my personal sex slave. Literally, I'm not even exaggerating. For the rest of the evening, she literally became my personal sex slave. Once I exerted my alpha male dominance with her and strong backbone with her whole demeanor towards me changed. She went from being loudmouth and disrespectful to being soft-spoken, ultra-feminine, ultra-submissive. Just because I looked her dead in the eyes and I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. See, most of y'all men, y'all don't have the balls to do that shit. I mean, just keeping it real. Most heterosexual men in society don't have the balls to put women in check like that. They don't. And that's where my role as a dating coach comes in. I teach men how to develop those type of balls and backbone. That's one of the things I do. I teach men how to develop those type of balls and backbone. Because most men don't have that type of balls and backbone. I will curse a woman out in a microsecond. Try me. Try me. On a personal, particularly if you're talking about on a personal and social level, shit, I dare any bitch to try me. I will curse that bitch out in a micro fucking second. I will curse a bitch out in a microsecond who disrespects me. I don't tolerate that shit. A lot of y'all motherfuckers, the reason why y'all whine and complain about bitches is because y'all have allowed women to disrespect you. Y'all have allowed it. I don't allow no woman to disrespect me. Ever. And the final thing I'm going to talk about is something Rusty said. Rusty said, again, I'm paraphrasing his word. He said, I'm not down with Alan Roger Currie playing the gay card. Playing the gay card. And of course, that's what Mumia Obsidian Ali, he did a video called Alan Roger Currie Plays the Gay Card. Let Let me break something down to you. I didn't play no fucking gay card. Y'all are using that out of context because y'all, I hate to say it, Rusty, you're going to get offended, but you end up saying it, at least in this instance, y'all are not speaking intelligently. You are speaking like a dumbass. You're talking out the side of your mouth. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. If you got a heterosexual debating with another heterosexual, how the fuck can he use the gay card? Explain that to me like I'm a fifth grader. If you have a heterosexual debating with another so-called heterosexual, how can either one of them use the gay card as a defense? The race card or the gay card is something you use to defend yourself. The race card and the gay card is something you use to defend yourself in an argument or defend yourself when you're being accused of something. That's when you use those type of cards, like the race card or the gay card. It's used to defend yourself against something, against an argument in a debate or against an accusation or allegation when you've been accused of wrongdoing. I wasn't trying to defend myself against anything. What I said, again, this is going to be the third time I've repeated this. Here's what I basically said. If you're a man and you're either a YouTube personality / podcaster, or you're the follower or supporter of a YouTube personality or / podcaster, and you are telling other men to totally avoid socially interacting with women, and furthermore, totally avoid sexually interacting with women, I said, what does that make you? What does that make you? If I see a post in somebody's comment section where a guy, let's call him, I don't know, Bill Johnson, says, hey man, if you ask my advice, I think you should just leave women alone. I don't think you should talk to them on the phone. I don't think you should have any face-to-face conversations with them. Virtually, I don't think you should have any interaction with women. I don't even think you should try to have casual sex with them. You should just totally avoid interacting with women. What am I supposed to surmise from a comment like that? What am I supposed to surmise from a comment like that? If you're telling other men to totally avoid socially interacting with women and more so totally sexually interacting with women, I'm assuming you're gay or you're aspiring to be a voluntarily celibate monk. One of the two. Or the third option would be you're into sex dolls, having sex with sex dolls. You're either gay, aspiring, gay or bisexual, I should say, gay or bisexual. You're aspiring to be a voluntarily celibate monk, or the third option would be you're already having sex or looking to have sex with those human-like sex dolls. You're in one of those three categories. Because if you're not in one of those three categories, what's your other option? What's your other option other than those three? Name them. I invite you to in my comment section. Other than those three options, what's the other option? If you're a man and you're telling other men not to socially interact with women, not to sexually interact with women, and you're not gay, you're not aspiring to be a voluntarily celibate monk, or you're not having sex or seeking to have sex with sex dolls, what's the other option? What's the other option? See, I don't tell men to avoid dealing with women. I help men out. I give men advice on how to avoid interacting with undesirable women. Undesirable women. Women who are materialistic gold diggers, master manipulators, spoiled argumentative drama queens, closet misandrists, liars, adulterers, and cheaters. Those are some of the types of women that I give men advice on how to avoid and how to identify first and then avoid. But as far as just all women in general, that's kind of crazy to me. But yet, I've literally heard guys say that. I've literally heard guys suggest to guys that they should avoid interacting with women, period. Not just a particular type of woman, but women, period. That is crazy to me. That is fucking crazy to me. My question is this: if you're heterosexual, why don't you just concentrate on two women? The women who want you, who genuinely want to share your company, particularly in a romantic or sexual manner. And number two, that don't have behavioral traits that are worthy of criticism. How come you don't just concentrate on those women? I know the answer. And a lot of you guys listen to me. Y'all know the real answer to that. Now, I know the real answer to that. It's a simple, straightforward question. If you're a man that's frustrated with a certain percentage of women in society, why don't you concentrate on the women that genuinely want to share your company in some type of romantic or strictly sexual manner, and women who don't exhibit behavior that warrants harsh criticism? Why? Why? Without me getting too lengthy for time purposes, because those women don't want you. Because those women don't want you.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
You don't have any women in that category. You don't have any women in that category is a simple, straightforward answer. You don't have any women in that category. You don't have any women. All the women who you've ran across that are not worthy of criticism don't want you. Don't want you. All the women that you've crossed paths with in your adult life, your social life, personal social life, who exhibit behavior that does not warrant criticism, they don't want you. And the women you've ran across that do want to share your company in a romantic or strictly sexual manner are women who do possess behavioral characteristics that you don't care for. It's one or the other. It's one of the two. The women who don't warrant criticism don't want you. And the women who want you are only women who warrant criticism. Drops mic. Thump. For this video, there's not going to be a Patreon exclusive portion, mainly because I'm getting ready to do a Patreon exclusive live stream on Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. So anything anybody wants to ask me or share with me related to my last few videos, you can do it in my Patreon exclusive live stream on Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. Talk to you guys then.